Hey guys, how's it going? It's Joy. I am back again with another video. I hope that you guys are doing well and I hope that you guys are staying safe. So you guys, this video is not going to be too long, but I actually just wanted to do a follow-up video because you guys know that my video was cut short again. So I just wanted to talk about the topics that I got actually and it just actually reminded me of another topic that I do want to talk about in regards to the narcissist. But let's go ahead and cover what we were attempting to talk about. So we were saying, because some people may want to know the different types of trauma responses, and some people may be curious as to how they handle trauma, right? Because not everybody handles trauma the same. Everyone has a different response, a different experience, right? So just something to be aware of, you guys. So what I can see here, just doing research as usual. So let me look into it here. Let's see what we got. Okay. So a trauma response. So first off, let's talk about what a trauma response is. So you guys can go to Google, of course, but a trauma response is an automatic, often involving involuntary reaction to a threatening or harmful event, serving as a body's way of protecting itself from perceived danger. These responses, which can include fight, flight, freeze, fawn, are influenced by genetics, environment, and personal history. And by the way, if this is you guys' first time watching me, I am a narcissist abuse coach, and I have been dealing with narcissists since 2006. And since 2017, I have been helping former victims, now survivors, heal, move on, and recover after dealing with narcissistic abuse. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But yes, you guys, again, a trauma response is an instinctive, self-protective, and often unconscious reaction that survivors experience in situations reminiscent of their past trauma. So you may be like, okay, well, Joy, what types of trauma responses are there, right? So I'm glad you asked. So there's a fight response, which is displaying aggression, anger, or irritability. There is a flight response, which is avoiding situations or experiencing anxiety. There's also a freeze, where you may feel paralyzed or unable to act. And then there's also a fawn, where you could be trying to please others to avoid conflicts. So that's very interesting, right? So just a couple other things I did want to share with you guys. So some of the underlying mechanisms, again, so trauma sets off an alarm that triggers the fight or flight response in the body and the mind. This heightened state of arousal makes it difficult to feel calm and can be easily activated in other situations. Now, also, because, a lot of people that may be watching me, or maybe you're new to this, or maybe, this is just something that kind of caught your eye, but basically, as far as trauma, again, it has different impacts on different people, right? So, specifically, like, for instance, like narcissistic abuse trauma affects individuals differently depending on whether they experience it once, repeatedly, or over time. And some experience it is obvious forms such as post-traumatic stress disorder, while others may have less obvious trauma response, right? So that is something to keep in mind. And then also it says recognizing trauma responses it says understanding these responses is critical for individuals and mental health professionals as they navigate the path forward towards trauma recovery, right? So just understanding like the type of response that you have and not judging it or trying your best not to beat yourself up about it, but just saying like, okay, this is how I respond to trauma. Maybe can I respond a different way? Can I, react a different way? Or if you feel like your reaction is fine, that's fine too. You get me? So it just really depends on, the person. And then longer term reactions, right? So or excuse me, it says other trauma responses besides typical fight, flight, freeze, fawn. There are other responses like fright, flag, and faint that are theorized by professionals in this field. Long-term reactions. Long-term reactions include unpredictable emotions, flashbacks, strained relationships, and even physical symptoms like headaches or nausea. And as always, you guys, you always want to make sure that you are reaching out for support and seeking help in regards to these type of situations if you are having different trauma responses, right? So let's also touch on the other ones. Let's see here. These okay, so the fright, flag, and faint are a few lesser known trauma responses that are theorized. So I guess a lot of people don't really have those particular responses per se, right? So yeah, very interesting. Let's see what else. So it says, okay, so they're explaining some techniques that can kind of help an individual, deal with different trauma responses. So maybe this could be helpful. So it just says grounding yourself in the present, acknowledge your surroundings, so it says look around and notice details like colors, sounds, and textures. It says use your senses, engaging your senses by smelling something, tasting something, or touching a familiar object. Remind yourself of safety, reiterate that you are safe now and that the trauma is in the past, especially for those of you that could have like a lot of flashbacks. A lot of people may have, they may have reminisce or they have different memories. Some people may have nightmares, night terrors, and things like that. So just be mindful of that in that regards. Let me see here. Give me one moment, you guys. So just be aware. Engage in simple activities, get up, move around, have a drink of water, wash your hands, self-soothing activities, deep breathing. You guys can do meditation, progressive muscle relaxation. You guys can also try working out at the gym. You can go for a walk. Also, as usual, you guys know I say seek support, of course. So talk to someone you trust, join a support group. You guys know that I have my free Facebook support group. So make sure if you have not, be sure to join. Seek professional help. Again, consider therapy, counseling, coaching, mental health mentorship, anything that's going to help you, recover regarding this situation. Again, other helpful strategies: maintain your routine. So regular schedule for meals, sleep, activities, create a sense of stability, practice self-care, avoid substances, set realistic goals, and learn about trauma and its effects. So that's going to be really important for you guys, right? So let's see what we got here. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, you guys, let me see. Whoops, my computer is going to be going out in a bit, you guys. I got to put the charger on it, but hopefully this was helpful. Like I said, I just wanted to touch on the topic because, like I said, YouTube cut my video short. So, but just generally speaking, though, you guys, I would love to know what would you guys say your trauma response is. You guys can let me know based off of what we talked about here. And like, do you guys feel that you handle trauma well? Like, how do you guys feel that you cope with trauma? Do you feel like you manage it well? Do you feel like you have challenges? Do you have different obstacles? Do you feel like there's things holding you back from healing? Do you feel like maybe it's self-inflicted? Do you feel like it's outside circumstances? Like, I would really love to know how you guys feel about that, and what are some things you guys are doing to overcome your trauma responses and other things too. Remember, so remind yourself that they're just memories. Remind yourself it's natural to have memories of traumas. Talk about, again, someone you trust, and remember that although reminders of trauma can feel overwhelming, they offer a lesson in time. So just being patient with yourself. And then this is interesting. It talks about 17 symptoms of complex CPTSD. So emotional dysfunction, regulation, difficulties with relationship, negative self-concept, disassociation, hypervigilance, avoidance, flashbacks, memory lapses, intrusive thoughts, nightmares, night terrors, difficulties concentrating, sleep disturbances, anger and irritability, loss of interest, aggravated startle responses, engaging in harmful behaviors, and somatic responses. I kind of want to do a video on that. I want to talk a little bit more about the CPTSD, because that is a very big topic that I feel like a lot of us, especially if you've been a victim of narcissistic abuse, and especially if you haven't gotten away from the narcissist and you're still being abused, of course, it just makes it worse. So that's why I always tell people that reach out to me, like, if you can go no contact with this individual, it's best to do so and never contact them again. Now, as I always say, if it's a family member, of course, that's different. There's definitely some ways in which you can kind of navigate that. But me personally, like I said, I had an auntie that was a narcissist, and I haven't been in contact with her since 2014. And I don't really plan on being in contact with her unless I don't have to. You get what I'm saying? So it's doable, right? You may feel guilty about it. You may feel like, oh, I need to be the bigger person. I need to say something. I need to do something. Trust me, no, you don't. No, you don't. So just, keep that in mind. Let's see here. So yeah, let's talk about the other three lesser known responses to trauma. So we talked about fright. So it says the fright response indicates and immobility. At first, the freeze response was theorized. However, it can be soon become apparent that the response could be differized from fright. So it says similar to freeze and faint, the person experiencing fright will play dead, so to speak. This is better understood when a predator has its prey and its grabs and the prey goes limp and ceases its struggle to make itself less desirable for consumption. In this case, the fright response involves a heightened sense of arousal and readiness to confront or flee from danger. Now, it says the flag response, and you guys can go to psychology.com. Sorry about that. It says the flag response is characterized by numbness of emotion, cognitive failure, and a drop of arousal and surrender. It says Schallenberg and Elbert, 2015, assert that the flag response is part of a sequence in the 6 fear responses that progress as a function of defense during a life-threatening situation. The cascade consists of the following responses in sequential order: freeze, flight, fight, fright, flag, and faint. It says the individual's attention may be elsewhere and they may feel that they are observing themselves, which is an example of dissociation. This is a built-in defense mechanism that increases the pain tolerance and numbs the emotional response. The person who experiences the trauma may exhibit memory relapse as their brain attempts to protect its emotional well-being. For more fascinating information on this trauma response, you can watch a video by Tracy. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, very interesting. Then another one you do have, it says faint. It says as a biological determined response to acute stress defense, faint is lesser known response. It says this may be referred to as the flop response. Also indicative as tonic immobility is preferable option for the body when fight or flight is not possible. A common example of this phenomenon is when a person sees blood and literally faints from the sight of it. They are not playing dead, as illustrated in the fright response. Their body unconsciously suspends movement. It says instead of the arousal and readiness associated with the fright response, this type of response centers around mobility in response to overwhelming stress. So yeah, very interesting, you guys. So yeah, keep that in mind, right? And excuse me, you guys. And by the way, I was gonna tell you guys I do have some projects that I am working on that I did want to let you guys know about. This one project I've actually just started. It's actually going to be something that I'll be releasing in the next couple of months. It's actually going to be an experience that I've actually dealt with over, many years of my life, but it actually has to do with workplace environment. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys, especially for those of you that could be dealing with places where you work where it could be harmful, it may be toxic, or, it may be kind of destructive for a particular persons. So I definitely look forward to sharing that with you. I do have some other projects coming out, so I just wanted to throw that in there also, but I'm looking forward to sharing it with you all. But yeah, so let's take a look. Let's see. Alrighty, so So, okay. So yeah, and the other topic, you guys, I kind of wanted to go over. Oh, and before we go over this other topic, and we'll make a video on this, on how the narcissist wants to make you feel how they feel, right? So a lot of times you could have a narcissist around you, and this narcissist is miserable. They hate themselves, they feel insecure, they feel not good enough, and so sometimes, what the narcissist will do is they may try to get on your nerves, or they may try to get you to react, or they may try to do something to get you to feel how they feel. And this is a common thing, so just kind of be mindful of this and try not to be too surprised, or try not to of course, don't internalize it, obviously, right? But just kind of expect it. Unfortunately, when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, you kind of have to expect the unexpected, and just realize that a lot of them are just desperate individuals that just want attention, and they want power and control, and if they feel like they can't get it from you, then they'll just be like children, like, and just pout and shout and have outbursts and stuff like that. So just be careful, like, and this narcissist, anybody that could be in your life, this could be a parent, you get what I'm saying? This could be a grown parent that could be having these type of outbursts, or they, because they feel rejected, or they may feel less than, then they want to make you feel the same way, so they may do stuff to try to get you to feel that way. So as usual, I will always just say, just do the opposite of what the narcissist wants you to feel, because remember, you have the power, and you never give your power away to anyone that doesn't do anything for you except for try to harm you get me? So I just wanted to have that as a reminder for you guys, but we'll touch on that in another video. But another question, somebody was asking me about narcissist people that are couples that are narcissists. I want to make a video on that, because that is a common thing where two narcissists can come together and they'll be with each other. And I always say this, my aunt that I lived with for 5 years, and also the male narc that I was had a connection with, I felt like, in my mind, I could see them as a couple. And it's crazy, because I had a connection with both of them, and I realized that they both were trying to get control over me fully. And once they found out about each other, they didn't like each other, they talked trash about one another, and they didn't even know each other. And what they was really fighting for was control, right? They was really fighting for power. They was fighting for a sense of like accomplishment, or a sense of like, oh, I won, or like, you get what I'm saying? So when it comes to the narcissist, you kind of have to expect that. And especially if it's two of them in a relationship, oh yeah, you're gonna see a lot of drama, a lot of chaos, a lot of arguing, a lot of fights, a lot of mayhem. But we'll definitely touch on the video. The reason why I brought that up was because someone had asked me about that on the live, so I just wanted to. We're gonna do a video on that later. But as far as people may shut down emotionally after dealing with the narcissist, and this is a common thing. And honestly, I don't really see anything wrong with it, per se. Only thing that I would just say, and again, you guys know that I never tell anybody what to do. I always offer advice, and this is things that have worked for me. Um, of course, it might be a good idea to have some time to yourself, spend time alone, so that way you can learn to heal any emotional wounds or any trauma that you could experience at the hands of the narcissist. Or maybe it wasn't a narcissist that traumatized you. It could have just been a breakup, or it could have been a divorce, or it could have been a loss of a loved one, God forbid. But, it could have been these type of responses. Or excuse me, these type of scenarios. And, you may feel that you're shutting down emotionally. I would say that's fine for some time. Of course, you don't want to stay shut down emotionally, because at that point, you're kind of still allowing the narcissist to control you, even though they're not around. Like, you get what I'm saying? I think some narcissists get off on being able to control people, right? And so, you want to give yourself time to heal. I know a lot of people like to use distractions, whether it's substances, drugs, abuse, sex, alcohol, porn, or whatever the case may be, so allow yourself the a lot of time you need, but eventually you don't want to become a person where, I mean, if you want to be a loner, that's fine. Some people like being loners, but of course, get out there and socialize and be around people. But if you need time to recharge, that's fine. But to answer the question, narcissists can cause their victims to shut down emotionally. And sometimes the narcissist can cause their victims to like never want to date anybody ever again and want to be single for the rest of their lives, or, want to shut down and, want to be single and alone because they don't want to trust anybody for the rest of their lives. That some narcissists can cause their victims to behave that way. And the other thing too is the fact that the narcissist not only mentally abuses their victims, but physically, psychologically, emotionally. And imagine the longer that person has been with the narcissist, imagine all the abuse that they endured. Like, you get what I'm saying? And so they may feel like, because maybe they haven't done the inner work. That's why I say this is really important. You want to make sure that you can do that work, because if you don't, you might find yourself being that way where you're just like, no, like, I don't want to be around anybody. I want to be alone for the rest of my life. You get what I'm saying? So you just want to remember, like, you're in control. Like, you don't want to give the narcissist any kind of power over you, because remember, you're the one that holds the power. So you don't give your power away. You keep your power, right? So, but anyway, I hope that made sense, you guys. That's actually what we were trying to talk about on the live, but like I said, YouTube cut it short. But hopefully you guys hear this. So, I would love to know what was you guys' biggest takeaway. Be sure to give this video a like, share, and subscribe. And if there's anything, any way that I can support you guys on your journey to healing and recovery, please feel free to leave an email. You can email me at livenarcfree9@gmail.com. You can also feel free to go to my website. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Love you guys always. Take care. Bye.